It's that CSZ gang. They said pull up, so I came. You better put some respect on their name. Yeah, 55, what's goody? Kill the vibe, how could it? Big Cardinal on the hoodie. Let me break it down for you fully. This ain't your average broadcast. This ain't just no podcast. The mother shows spread fake news. We just call them broadcast. West, Joey, Sam, Shawn, Dalton. Ain't you know that boy Higgy? He said he don't want no small fries. Tell them they better make them biggie. Yeah, you already know what we be on. We got the crown, we hold the throne. We throw the mails and you take them home. When they ring the bells, you know that it's home. The bar set, we setting the tone. If we set it, then set it in stone. Sit in the streets, set up your phone. You in the Cardinal sports zone.
What is up? Welcome, everybody, for this very special edition of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast. We're coming to you live today from the Four Peg Studios. I'm your host, Jeremy Wyman, and we're going to bring them on here one by one, but we have some very special guests. I can hear you. You can't hear?
No, I don't think anybody can hear on the panel.
You can. Y'all can't hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear? Okay. Adjust your headphones. Shawn, that's something you should take care of. Again, I'm your host, Jeremy Wyman, and we're coming here for a very special episode today. Today, I have with me my co-hosts. First off, we have, where are they at? Right here. It's our guys, Dalton Pence and Sam Baisden.
Yo, I can hear you if I hold this button down. That is literally it.
That's fair. It's just for show anyway. Just move the headphones back.
We're going to use the headphones.
Fair. That's fair enough. Don't use the headphones. Dalton Pence, Sam Baisden in the house.
What up? What up?
Shawn is producing today. This likely will be his new role going forward, but last and certainly not least, he is the guest of honor. He, look, let's just get right to it. I don't have him on the screen yet because I want to give him you know what? Let's hold the guest of honor for a second. Let me get all the other stuff out of the way. But Shawn is our forever producer going forward. He does have a face for radio. And he did used to produce for me way at the very, very beginning. And he's here today to kind of facilitate all the traffic with the chat line, which is already blowing up right now. We appreciate that. We'll be on here as long as Nolan will be here with us. We appreciate his time today. Don't forget the Mossy Oak chat line is open now. And as I said, it's blowing up. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or however, send us your questions on social. Shawn will get to some of them and put them up on the screen for us to look at. And check on the graphic underneath us to see how you can follow the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast on social media and how you can help support it monetarily. Hit that thumbs up button while you're here on YouTube. Make sure that's where you're watching it. YouTube's where we get the most interactions. We get the most analytics from there, and they pay us a little bit better than Facebook or Twitter. So join us over on YouTube. It's pretty easy. Shawn could even figure it out. And last but not least, our sponsor shout outs: Bare Nose on Market, Fitness Market, Four Pegs Beer Lounge, Cherry Picking, the Collision Course Crew Tailgaters, Shoot 360, and Mossy Oaks. Appreciate all their sponsorships. We'll talk about them a little bit more in detail further in the show. Also happy to tell you, because of the 502 Circle and the Ravon Sports app, we will have our first Louisville live stream of the year, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Stay tuned to my Twitter feed for details. Look, our guest of honor today really doesn't need an intro, but that's one of the things I do the best. So here we go. At Oak Hill Academy, he was a 2-year captain, while during his junior year, he averaged 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals per game, while leading them to a 40-1 record with the final number 2 ranking in the nation. I would have thought he'd rebound a little bit better than that. He then signed his letter of intent to play at Duke. His legacy at Oak Hill continued as a senior. He averaged 22 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals per game, as he led Oak Hill Academy to their second 40-1 record in a row, which was a record for that school. But this time they earned the number 1 final spot in the Super 25 rankings. He was a McDonald's All-American, Parade All-American, and more. And that was just during high school. Look, we can talk about his all Final Four team recognition, his ACC Player of the Year honors, his national championship, the fact he's played at every level, his selection in the first round of the NBA draft, and his lackluster rebounding. But frankly, I feel like I've said enough. Without further ado, Louisville-born, Louisville-raised, Louisville legend, and overall great human and friend, it is Nolan freaking Smith. Nolan, what's good, man?
sorry I didn't rebound more for you.
You kind of let us down a little bit there, man. Let's go ahead and get this graphic up. Where is it at? There we go. Got everybody's name so y'all know who we are. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Great turnout for the show. Noah, how you been, man?
I've been good. Just kind of spending time with family, hanging out right now, trying to see what's next.
All right, fair enough. We got beautiful weather today. It's a good time. I know the fan base is kind of up in arms now. When are they not? But let's just cut to the chase because, like I said, a lot of people, and we got a lot of people in the Facebook chat line that's watching. Our friend Shannon Rechtenwald in the building. We appreciate you tuning in. She's been like a big sister to me my whole life. I didn't even know y'all knew her or anything. So love her to death. Look, let's get right into it. At the beginning, you were really, really excited to come to the University of Louisville. Talk about that unique experience. Are you glad that you still came knowing what you know now?
Absolutely. I think this was a dream opportunity for me. Coming here with Kenny Payne was a no-brainer, and it's still a no-brainer. I mean, I never lived life with regrets, right? Obviously, it didn't go as planned, and two and out. But no, I think it was still something that was a dream job for me, a dream situation to come home, to bring my family home, to bring my kids here and get them in the same schools that I went to and be a part of this program and this school, this university, place that I love. No, it's still a no-brainer. And if I had to do it again, I would do it again.
Absolutely. No, will you push the microphone a little bit closer to you? Some of the listeners are saying they can barely hear you. Nolan talks soft anyway, so get off his back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Is that better?
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys feel free to ask any follow-up questions at any time. This is not just the Jeremy show, as you know. Not today anyway. It's the Nolan show. What does Louisville basketball mean to you? And what does the city mean to you?
Oh, it means everything. It means everything. That's like I just said. It was a no-brainer to come here. I mean, I was born here. Went to Louisville basketball camps growing up. Came back to Louisville as much as I could as a teenager. So to be able to come and represent this great university, this school, this program, it means everything. I mean, the players that I grew up idolizing, Reese Gaines, Taekwon Dean, watching Francisco Garcia, the guards that I had a chance to come play with, Edgar Sosa, Jerry Smith, all those guys. I mean, people always ask, well, why didn't you come here? Because those two guys were here. And there's much more to it. But when I looked at those two guys, those were two bad boys. I could have competed with them, but I looked at what was that on the other side. Like, I'm gonna go over here down to Duke.
Listen, not to interrupt you, but really quick, those two guys. So when I come back to finish up my degree at U of L in 2005, those were two the first guys the next year that were always. I was not on the payroll at U of L, but I was unofficial. You know, you got the players' friends, and they're out. I look after the. So Terrence Farley, he was my next door neighbor. Yep. Grew up with I literally changed the dude's diapers. I'm like 8 years older than him. And he was like, man, you've only got a couple crap. My football career ended. I blew out both of my knees. I quit. I was depressed. It is what it is. He's like, you've only got like a couple semesters left. Come finish it up with me. I'm nervous to start school for the first time. Do this with me. So I went up there, and Edgar and Jerry were two of the guys that I hung out with a lot. Love them to death. But I was put in charge of Derek Character and Earl Clark, which was a tall task. And I wasn't always successful with those guys, but I guess we should be glad that I was around. That there wasn't more. I remember one night, I ain't gonna say which one. We're not gonna get nobody in any trouble, but I caught one of them sneaking out the window as I was pulling up to hang out with Terry and then Perrin and Sos and Jerry. And one of those two was sneaking out the window. I'm sure y'all probably could figure out who it is yourself, but it is what it is. So you told us what Louisville basketball means to you. What the city as a whole, though, because I know you touched on it a little bit, but kind of elaborate on that.
Oh, the city as a whole. I mean, this is where I was born. Like I'll tell y'all a secret. When I drive around and I see those Louisville Zone signs, posters, billboards, whatever you want to call them, I envision myself getting one of those. Like I am one of Louisville's own. Like, a lot of people don't talk about me as Louisville's own, but I was born here, raised here for a good amount of time. Yeah. So that's like a little secret, right? I see that sign. I'm one of those guys. Rajon Rondo, D'Angelo Russell. I'm one of the great point guards from Louisville. Right? I was born here. This is home. This is where my heart is, where my heart started. Louisville's home. So I love Louisville, love the city, love the community. I have a lot of family and friends here. This is a place I always saw myself being. Like I didn't come play here, but it was always a part of me, a part of my family. I always kept Louisville gear in my closet. This is my city. I have it tatted on me.
Absolutely, and this is where we met too, at one of your dad's basketball. Like the biggest thing growing up, if you were a Louisville kid, and of course, Dalton, you weren't alive at this point. You're still small child. The biggest honor as a high school basketball player in Kentucky was during the summer being named to the Derek Smith All-Star Camp team.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't named to that, you could be like, yeah, I scored this. And then, but did you play for the Derek Smith All-Stars?
Yeah.
No, well, you ain't. I mean, I'm not going to say the word, but you ain't nothing if you didn't play. So, yeah, I mean, deep-rooted here. Yeah. Again, this is where, we met at one of the camps. This is where our friendship started, and it blossomed. And, man, I'm so thankful. Not to mention, like, I don't want to get personal, but, like, just having you here in Louisville the last 2 years during my health scare and stuff, man, that meant so much to me. I don't want to start talking about it because I don't get emotional. I'm like a man's man. I don't get emotional about a whole lot. But that 4 months, man, it humbled me to have to look up and Sam come and seen me multiple times. Dalton didn't, so I'm not going to mention him. He's a bum. But Sam, I'm kidding. Looking up and just being so weak and helpless and seeing Sam. Or seeing Shawn snuck in sometimes when I was asleep and just watched me sleep.
Wow.
No, that happened one time. Honest to God. First night I was in the hospital. Shawn was the first person up there. And I woke up and I was like, oh, man, what's going on? The nurse was like, man, you got some dedicated friends. And I was like, what do you mean? Well, your brother was here all night. And then you had a friend come in and sit here with you for about an hour or so. I guess he was hoping you'd wake up. I was like, what? I said, wait a minute. Did he look homeless? And they said, yes. I said, I got to text Shawn. So I texted Shawn, but just that period. And then when you all come up and we got to talk, man, that hour literally changed my entire timeline of recovery because I had just started to feel like I was giving up a little bit. And to see you and to see Shane and to see Sydney, man, like you can see me starting to smile right now, man. It made my day and it really changed everything around. All right, let's get to the next question before I start. And I never was. That's another thing. Teresa could tell you, I was never emotional pre-surgery. Now sometimes I don't even know why. I just be like, man, I've got help me out with the tissue or something, Teresa. So I it is what it is. Is there anything you wish you'd have done differently while you were here?
It's a great question. I'd say no. I think for me, my job is to show up every day and give it 100%. Wake up in the morning, 7 a.m., work guys out, 10 p.m., do my job. My job as an assistant coach, I feel like I did that. I feel like I brought it to Louisville basketball. I brought energy. I brought fight. I brought my mindset. I brought my winning attitude. Did it work out? No, but individually, I did my job. So there's no regrets on my end. Just the fact that we didn't win. We didn't win, but no, show up every day. That's my job as an assistant.
Absolutely. And I do know there's a question further down the line that Sam added later on last night. Can you just explain to everybody that don't know, what were your day-to-day responsibilities? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but like
just be the basketball mind on the court, work out guys, X's and O's, just the whole landscape of coaching. That's day to day. Trying to do that at an extremely high level, the level that I'm at, and teach our guys, coach them hard, make sure they're pushing themselves, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do off the court, taking care of their schoolwork, and just helping them become great young men. I think that's the job of an assistant coach, and that's what I wake up and strive to do every single day.
Look, you come from a very, very prestigious coaching, because you had one of the great, Teresa still, she doesn't know why, but it's one of her favorite coaches of all time that didn't coach Louisville, Coach K. And just I remember, like, I was doing YouTube research a couple of weeks ago because I knew we were going to do this. And I saw an old video, and I think it was like maybe one of your first days as an assistant coach, and you're pushing around this cart that had boxes on it. Or you were like struggling to get that cart pushed through. Such a long way that you've come from that first day to what you do now. You don't do none of that stuff. Now, you got people to do that for you now, right?
No, I still do it.
You do?
I still do it because there's still days. So I was fortunate enough, and I say fortunate enough because it was a position that Coach K put me in to really learn the business, which is the Dobo spot, Director of Basketball Operations, for 2 years. So no, I haven't stopped doing it. So I see somebody in that position now, or see our nutritionist or somebody, a manager. That was that role as Dobo. You're just a helper. Your hands are in everything. So even now as a coach, I'm still a helper. So I still occasionally might push a card or something to help somebody out.
You mentioned Coach K. A lot of Louisville fans have their own personal feelings towards him. They don't know him. Speak a little bit more to Coach K as a man, and what I would say would probably be the lesson that you learned from him, or what you took away from him most.
Yeah. Oh man, learned so much. I mean, being able to work for him for 6 years, play for him for 4 years, I learned a lot. But the main thing that I really take away from him is the little things, the attention to detail that he paid attention to every single day. And it can be the smallest thing, like knowing the janitor's name. Something really small like that mattered to Coach K. And all of that stuff transitioned to practice. All the little things, diving for loose balls, taking charges, talking, communicating. Those things made winning programs. It made Duke who it was. And it all started with Coach K. And that was who he was. He showed up every day. He was the first one to work. I used to always try and beat him to work just to compete with him. And it was very hard to do. He was always getting there earlier and earlier. I think when he saw that I was showing up earlier, he was going to outwork you. He was going to out prepare you. He was the best. And his preparation was another thing. He prepared. There was nothing that he would go into the day not prepared for. He was prepared for every situation, every game situation, every opportunity, whatever it was. He was never not going to be prepared. And he made sure everybody around him was prepared for everything.
Funniest Coach K story.
The funniest one, probably when he came in the locker room with a sword. I think he was trying to recreate 300, the movie. And it was before the Carolina game. He moved all the chairs out of the locker room, and we were standing there, the lights were out. We were like, what's going on? He came in and just lifted this sword in the air and just started screaming at the top of his lungs just to fight. And we just, at first, college kids, you're looking at it, like, oh, this is kind of silly. What's he doing? But then you see his energy and his passion. Now you're like, all right, let's go. And we went out and we won by 30. So, I mean, it was funny, but also a serious look into how great of a motivator he was and how he would do and get creative and do different things in order to motivate you.
I told you I was going to ask you a question about your playing days.
Yep.
Like this is a good segment into it. I'm going to take you back to 2010. Not many people get to win a national championship. I want to go back to that game specifically.
Yep.
Specifically one play. Butler it's your ultimate David and Goliath story. Gordon Hayward comes that close from making history. Overall, just kind of feelings. It feels like time can kind of slow down in that regard. When that shot's going up from half court and it rims out, I mean, a couple inches to the left and it's going in.
Yeah.
Overall thoughts on that and just.
I mean, like you said, just to win a national championship is very rewarding because it's not easy to do. When you get to that point and you win it, it's just like, man, all the hard work and dedication that you put in with your team, the ups and downs, the second round exits in the tournament, the Sweet 16 exits in the tournament. And then you finally get to that point, you win it. It's just like, wow, this is amazing. This is what it's all about with you and your teammates. But that shot was really not the shot that I thought was going to go in. It was the shot before that one when Gordon Hayward was going to his right and shot a shot that he probably makes 10 times out of 10 now, the Gordon Hayward today. But it's a shot that Gordon Hayward could also make. And Zubek came over and contested it and just threw his hand up, which I think threw it off just a little bit to go off the back rim, and Zubek got the rebound. If that shot went in, now we have to come down and we have to score. So that was the shot that really was scary. Then Coach K yelled out to Zubek to miss the free throw after he made the first one. That was one that we all kind of looked at Coach like, are you sure you want to miss it? Like, if he just made one. If we make it, we're up 3. And, now they tie it up. We go to overtime. That's the worst that could happen. But, hey, we listen to our coach always. Zubek misses the free throw. And as he's going down that right side of the court, Kyle Singler gets knocked out with a screen. And I'm the last one that kind of throws my hand up at Gordon. And it goes off the backboard, front rim. It was scary. It's one of those things that when I still see it today on TV, I still get like
a little nervous
pit in my stomach. That's like, ooh, like that really could have changed my whole life.
Yeah.
Could have changed my whole life because once you're a champion, obviously it sticks with you forever.
Of course.
Right? It sticks with you forever. You're able to do certain things because you're known as an NCAA champion. Like that could have changed my whole life. Yeah. So I mean, it was an amazing moment, and for all the young kids out there, if you have a chance to do it, just be in the moment. Be in the moment with your teammates and go after it.
I think what a lot of people want to know, and this isn't a question that's posed a lot, but I know that I've asked it a million times. Did you ever get compensated for the YouTube TV ads that when you first sign up for YouTube TV, they show like a montage, and the very first person on the screen is you in the Duke jersey, like going up for a lay, or maybe you're shooting a free throw. Did you ever get anything from that? No.
No.
You know what?
NIL. He said that quick.
That was definitely pre-NIL, so I didn't get anything from that. No,
I meant after, not during, obviously, but
no back pay.
All right. Well, you know what? Then I'm going to unsubscribe from my YouTube. Yep. I'm just kidding. I love it.
I didn't even get a free subscription. At least a little free membership. I didn't even get that.
They did
promo, man. Like,
absolutely. They did finally change it this year, so you're not on there anymore.
Is it gone?
It's gone. Oh. You're gone. You lived for a little bit, but then so. Next question, and this is a viewer question. I'm going to go to this because I just pulled this up.
Yep.
And it's a very honest question, and it's something similar. So the other night in Dalton Space, you talked a little bit about failure.
Yep.
And you took ownership. And I
tuned in, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely. If you didn't know me, there's no chance he would have tuned in. I promise you that. But we love
Thanks, man.
we love you. You're not on the team if we don't love you. Like you think he's.
What about Higgy?
No, Higgy's not allowed. Shawn's not even allowed on here anymore. Like we took him off camera. But it's this. I've got a part of a question that kind of plays in this a little bit. But the viewer question it's from Tracy Bodenhausen, who is I think you know her. She is a very important person here in the city of Louisville, and she just wants to know, Nolan, why didn't we win more? What happened with the team? Like, was it something that obviously if it's not something you can talk about, but in your opinion, like why didn't it work out?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a very tough question to answer, but I'll say we were working, and unfortunately, the wins just didn't come. The work was being put in. Kenny was dedicated to making sure Louisville basketball got back to its winning ways, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. The wins just didn't happen. I know that Kenny cared about winning and cared about this school, or else he wouldn't have came here. So. That's the best answer I can give right now.
The easy answer, right? Because obviously it's a very, very intricate question. Another viewer wants to know, because we all watched the games, whether we were there in person or on TV. For the first year and a half, it didn't look like the assistants were allowed to really be that vocal on the sideline. Was that a choice by you all, or was that kind of like a role that was kind of like just the coach was like, "Hey, just don't want y'all up and about"? Is it like,
yeah? Well, I can only speak to myself. I was always up and being vocal and coaching as assistant coaches, whether it was at Duke or now. Assistants are being told to sit down more. That's a point of emphasis from the officials. So I would often get told, hey, sit down, no, which I have a great relationship with all the referees in our league. I love them. They love me. Which is why at times you probably see me talk to the refs a lot.
Yep.
Sometimes trying to butter them up to get more calls. So that's why I'll be smiling with them. I'm not a smiley guy during games, but with referees, I try and make them feel good. They have a tough job. But that was really it. I think when the referees tell you to sit down, then you tend to have to sit down a little more. But that's universal. I mean, there's not too many staffs in the country where the assistants are standing up too much. But I'm engaged. I've always been engaged. That's who I am as an assistant coach. I love coaching. I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm always going to be passionate about this.
We're coming to you live today here from the Four Pegs studio, aka my kitchen, while the basement is being renovated. I'm your host, Jeremy Wyman. Just want to reset a little bit here with I had to be transparent. Family friend, one of my best friends, Nolan Smith, and I hate that it hurts me to even say this, former Louisville basketball assistant coach, but because even you could tell as I've been talking to you, I'm like, you still do this now? Like I don't want to accept it. I don't want to process it. So, but we're here talking with Nolan, and he's going to answer some of your questions. Shawn, do you have, you don't, not now, but after I get done with the questions, I have kind of like earmarked some of them that we can ask Nolan afterwards. But back to the 2-part question though. you talked about failure on Dalton's Space the other night, which was fantastic. What impact did that have on you as a competitor, as a former competitor? What do you say to the people who were frustrated by the team's on the court performance?
Yep. So for me, when it comes to failure, like I said on the Space the other night, it's made me better. It's made me a better coach. It's made me a better person. You always wonder why you're put in certain situations, certain challenges. Why does God challenge us in different ways? For me, I have strong faith. So when I say why was I challenged like this? Why was I put through 12 wins in the last 2 years? Why did it fail? Right? I can sit back and say why and ask myself why, or I can look at a solution and say, okay, well, what did I learn from it? What did I get better from it? Did I become a better coach? Did I become a better person? Did I become a better husband? In all avenues of life, how did I get better? Did I become a better friend? How was I with my players during this time? There's so many things that I learned through this time that ultimately, whether I get my next job as an assistant coach, I'm going to be a better assistant coach. I'm going to be better in all avenues of what I do as a coach, as an assistant coach, one day as a head coach. I learned so much from these last 2 years that are really going to turn me into a monster. Going to turn me into a monster because now I'm wired different. Like I absolutely hate losing. I know this fan base hates losing. It pisses me off that we lost the way we did. But now all I could do was sit up late night, figure out how can I prevent it here? How can I prevent that at my next stop, wherever I'm at, whatever God has in store for me? How can I prevent it? How can I be a better assistant to help my coach? How can I just develop my mindset just to be more of a soldier? I mean, that's how I look. I'm right now as an assistant coach. I'm a soldier. So how can I be a better soldier to help my boss?
You mentioned on that Space, and I think that this was one of the main points that a lot of people resonated with that I saw in the comments afterward, that people were like, yes, that's what we like to hear. In terms of expectations, you understand this fan base, you understand this city and how the city rallies around the program.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of go a little bit further into sort of the expectation side of things from a fan base that sometimes gets a bad rap, but I mean, it's as passionate as any out there.
Yeah. Oh, and like I said, they should be. I mean, it's Louisville basketball.
Right.
Simple as that. It's Louisville basketball. From my dad's days to the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, they haven't had a drought like now ever. And it's still Louisville basketball. I don't care what nobody says, the job, the city, the arena. Now, unfortunately, I never got to see it packed, but I did see it packed when I was at Duke during some good years then. I've seen it packed. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like as an opponent to come into the Yum Center where it's packed and the fans, they know basketball. They understand basketball. There's not very many fan bases that understand and know basketball, right? They typically react because the bench reacts. No, Louisville fans react because they know what a run in a game. They know what diving for a loose ball looks like. They know when it's time to get a stop. Like there's very few fan bases that really understand the game. Louisville fans are one of those fan bases, which makes them unique. It makes them passionate. It makes them one of the best fan bases out there. Like when I came here, I knew it was going to be a challenge. Like I knew the expectations were high. I've never been scared of expectations. I've never been scared of the light. Like this is what it was. This is what it is.
Right.
Kenny Payne knew that too. Like he's been in the light too. So we all knew what was coming with Louisville basketball. I mean, that's why we came.
Another viewer question real quick from our guy, Isaiah Kelly. I want to know, Nolan, in your opinion, was the rebuild really a 3 or 4 year plan like other people thought it was, or was it other factors? I know you touched on this a little bit already as far as why it didn't work out, but do you feel like it was really a 3 or 4 year plan, or do you think just something else happened that was beyond your control?
I think again, that's that's beyond my control.
Fair enough.
As assistant coach, if that was my head coach's plan, then that's the plan that I was on. And that's what it was. I think that's the players that we had lined up for that plan. But again, the landscape of college basketball has changed.
Absolutely. How did this experience help you grow as a person? Like, it changed you as a person?
There's a lot that I had to learn about this business. When I go back to the very beginning, as far as why this was a no-brainer to come here, it was also a change that I needed to see something new. I had to see something new. A lot of Duke guys like to stay in the Duke bubble and stay up underneath the brotherhood and never really get to see a public school, right?
Right.
How does a public school move? How does a public school work behind the scenes? There's so many things that I had to learn that I wanted to learn. And obviously coming here with my uncle Kenny Payne was something that was a no-brainer. But those were the things that I wanted to learn and step out and be a part of something new, something different. Whether it was comfortable or uncomfortable, new, a challenge, I wanted it, I needed it, I embraced it. And back to what we already answered, I learned from it. But it's something that for me it was needed.
What were some of the differences between coaching under a long-time Hall of Fame coach like Coach K and somebody who's just doing it for the very first time? Nothing negative against KP or anything intended. Just wondering what the difference in approach.
Yeah. I'll just speak to Coach K on that one, because comparing that, I think we all know the differences, right?
Sure.
But so I'll speak to Coach K. He coached for 40 plus years. So he saw every situation. He's been in so many different moments, been in all the big games, whether it was the start of his career, which he talked to us about, like when he started, it wasn't perfect. He had to get that first big class in order to get Duke basketball rolling. He shared his stories and experiences with us as assistant coaches so that we can learn, because obviously you couldn't be an assistant coach for Coach K without wanting to be a head coach. That's first and foremost. You're not sitting on that bench with him if your goal is, I just want to be a 15-year assistant coach and ride your coattail until I'm done. I don't want to coach. No. You're on that bench to become a great head coach. And being under his tree for so long, I learned everything. Wish I could have learned more. Wish I had maybe retired a little bit earlier, because at the end of the day, I always wanted to be a head coach. When I was done playing, my goal was to become a head coach. That's what my dad did, so that's what I wanted to do. But Coach K really taught me a lot, just as far as detail, practice plans, practice, challenging, knowing when to test your players, knowing when to tighten the screws on them because they're going to be lose after a big win, human nature, coming off a big win. How is that next film session? Are you light on them, or are you more intense, knowing that there might be some slippage because they just beat Carolina, but you still have Wake Forest 2 days later? All those little things, but I've really learned from him, because he mastered the game. He mastered the mind. He mastered body language. Everything about the game, I feel like he mastered, because obviously he did it for so long. Those are things that for me, as one day when I'm a first-year head coach, you're going to be understanding of those things, right? Because I saw him do it. Yeah. But until you're in that position, it's still going to be new for you until you're in that seat.
Absolutely.
I want to piggyback off that real quick, Sam. It's funny you mentioned that, because anybody who has to be the guy after Coach K, that's as daunting of a task as it is. And John Shire from a couple of different levels. You played with John.
Oh yeah,
and being an assistant with John.
Yep.
I feel like that is probably one of the toughest guy after the guy situations that there's been in sports history. And for a guy as young as he is not to be a head coach, it's pretty incredible to see what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely. And the only person that can really follow a legend like Coach K or anybody around the country has to be an ultimate competitor. Because when you're an ultimate competitor, you're going to do whatever it takes to win, because you have a fear of failure. You have a fear of losing. You're going to come in motivated every single day, knowing the expectations, knowing what it takes, and knowing obviously he wore the jersey. So his standards as far as what Duke basketball should look like are at a high level. He lived it. He lived it, which is why he's done such a great job. And they have a tough task tonight with JMU, but I think they'll get it done.
Sam?
You mentioned it a few times, and now I have to ask about, especially when you said you can't be an assistant coach under Coach K unless you wanted to be a head coach someday. Right now, Nolan Smith as the assistant head coach, what's your coaching style like right now? And things that you feel like you want to work on in the future? Are you more of an X's and O's guy, more of a recruiter, more of a motivator? Like, what do you feel right now is your strength as an assistant coach?
I think my strength as assistant coach right now, first and foremost, is defense. I think a lot of head coaches tend to take the offense. So right now, I've tried to lay my hat on how can I help defensively? How can I help our guys get a defensive mindset? I want to guard. I want to guard. I was first team all ACC defense. A lot of people don't know that. Jeremy doesn't think I rebounded, but I had to rebound a little bit in order to get that. But I love defense. So no matter whatever my head coach is doing offensively, I want to make sure we have a defensive mindset. I want to make sure my guards are defending at a high level, making sure we're rebounding, because at the end of the day, you got to get stops in order to win.
Were you surprised at how big the lights were here at Louisville? I mean, you couldn't do anything without being scrutinized. Really, things in your personal life, bonds you had with non-U of L people, your sneaker choice. Louisville can be an insane and passionate fan base. I know you kind of touched on this earlier, but did you really understand that it was like that insane here?
I
mean, obviously you didn't, or you wouldn't have wore. How dare you?
Pandas right now?
What's he got on?
Nah.
It was a New
I'm in my comfy New Balances today.
But it's not, well, okay, that we'll allow that. That's fine.
British Knights. I haven't seen those in a minute.
Calm down. I'm older than you.
No, I mean, I'm not surprised by obviously the scrutiny that comes with being in this program. Like I stated earlier, it's a huge program. Yeah. So you're gonna have a media, radio, TV. You're gonna have attention on you. I've been in the limelight pretty much since birth, but really since like 15, 16 years old. So I know what's expected. Obviously, that sneaker choice, I made a mistake. But look, at the end of the day, I was signed to Adidas. I have a great relationship with Adidas. I also have a great relationship with Nike. But I also know whatever brand I'm with, I have to wear that brand. Right. So I made a mistake.
Absolutely.
Now, did it linger on to where I got killed for it for 6 months? I mean, 7 months, still to this day, yeah. But hey, it is what it is. I love everyone. So to those guys that are still publicly attacking me for mistakes 6-7 months ago, look, it's okay. We're good. I'm good with everybody that knows me. I love everybody. And hopefully one day I get to sit down with those guys and talk to them and, bury the hatchet.
Speaking of that, quick follow-up question from me. Why do I feel like we're like after the NCAA tournament game, we got all the little microphone stands and we're just waiting for somebody to raise their hand to speak? With speaking about the scrutiny that you got, it was mostly because of the fact that nobody really talked up there. Mm-hmm. So do you agree that that's probably the reason why you all got a lot of scrutiny, was because y'all weren't allowed to? I mean, you didn't do many podcasts in the off season. This dude has been in my hospital room, and this is the first time he's been on my show in 2 years. Didn't really get to hear a lot out of you for, press conference wise. Do you think that that's probably one of the reasons why you all got more scrutiny than you probably should have, is because it really was, we move in silence up there? Yeah. Because a lot of people, before you answer, even with a lot of people just assumed y'all didn't recruit at all this year. But I can tell you all for a fact, there are many times when he was on his way to go recruiting that we chatted before and after. It just wasn't, for whatever reason, it wasn't publicized. Do you think that's probably one of the reasons you got unfair criticism?
I'll just say this. I am a relationship guy. Mm-hmm. At Duke, I had great relationships with media, TV, radio, but I got to know them. I got to see them, got to speak to them, got to shake their hands. They knew my wife. They knew my kids. They knew that I was a human being, right? Just like I know that they're human beings, right? And then we all know that we're all human beings. We all cry, get mad, get angry, get upset. We all care. We all have feelings, right? Mm-hmm. Then some things publicly tweeted won't be said as much, right? Sure. At the end of the day, were we losing? Do we deserve to be talked about? Absolutely. At the end of the day, that's the nature of the game. You're not going to celebrate somebody who's only won 5 games at that time or whatever amount of games, right? You're not going to celebrate that. You can't. But if you know me, if you know my family, if you know my wife, you know you know who we are as people, and you know that we're caring people,
Yeah.
then that changes, right? That's the one thing that I'll say, just as far as having relationships and being vocal and talking to your local media. They get to know who the Smith family is. They get to know who the Manning family is and the Jameson family. But if not, then there is no relationship. Therefore, everybody's going to be able to say what they want because you don't know who you're talking about.
Well, absolutely. There's no personal connection there, so you don't mind going. Whereas, like when, for example, when Rick was here and when Coach Petrino was here the first time, they all talked to the media. They all were very, very friendly, and people didn't want to take personal shots as much because they're like, well, they're coming in to do the shows. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but got the flagship station here, 93.9 The Ville. Can you recall any time where any of you all were on that station for anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't think so. That to me, honestly, was one of the issues. But we'll move on a little bit. We appreciate everybody. This is a record for streaming. Over, and the podcast version is going to do way bigger numbers. We normally don't do that many numbers on the streaming side. Over 1,500 people tuning in live right now.
Everybody thinks it's gonna get spicy. That's what they're waiting on, the spicy.
Oh, it's getting ready to get spicy. I'm about to get real spicy.
This is a positive podcast, but we appreciate everybody tuning in.
Absolutely, and it's nothing but love. But I am going to ask you a tough question, and I told you beforehand.
Let's get to it. Let's go ahead and get it out the way. Watch the viewers leave so as we get to it.
Oh no, it's about to spike. Before the season, the story came out. Nolan Smith wants this G League job. He wants to get the heck out of Louisville. Trenton Flowers just left. Now he's leaving. Started to implode before the season even started. The fan base's psyche. Can you explain to us, because I know how it all went down, and I want to be perfectly clear. This guy tells me, like, we're family. When he was going when this particular day happened, I knew nothing about it. I don't know if many people knew anything about it. So it was something that I don't even think was supposed to even be revealed. And I don't know that. So can you kind of explain how all that went down and like what your stance was with all that? Because correct me if I'm wrong, that wasn't like hey, we're going to interview you for the job. It was kind of like, we want you to get some practice because Kenny was trying to help prepare you for the future, because he knew that you were going to be a future head coach. Yeah. So can you kind of explain to us how that all went down? Yeah, I mean,
like you already said, it was definitely all for the process. Obviously, I don't move as assistant coach without talking to my head coach. But it was all for the process, all for the experience. And one thing I'll say, just to go ahead and address it all, Nolan Smith moves in silence, right? As a business person, I've been in this game for 35 years. Like I said, my whole life, I've been around everything. I've seen everything. I know how to move. And I also know that when Nolan Smith moves, people are going to be wondering what's he doing? Can it get out? Absolutely, it can get out. I'm Nolan Smith. Humbly. I say that humbly. I'm Nolan Smith. Now, did anybody want to get out? Absolutely not. You never wanted to get out. But somehow in this business, things always get out.
So to be clear, and just to interrupt you for a quick second, you're saying right here on the show, you have no idea how that became public knowledge.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Just want to clarify that, because there's a lot of people out there, you went on Dalton's show, and 50% of the people who were still fuming over that article that come out kind of was like, okay, we're hearing the accountability. We're hearing this. We love that. But there were still a couple of leftovers that were like, oh, Nolan, the league. No, but and I can tell you from my standpoint, you didn't say anything to me prior. I had no idea what was going on until you come home that night and you called me up, and we talked for a little bit. So you have no clue. Just for the record, you have no clue how it became public knowledge.
No,
okay,
absolutely not. And look, that night when that article came out, I'll just say it was an emotional night for me.
For sure.
You know, just what I sacrificed, what I gave up to come here, what Kenny Payne means to me, what he means to my family. So when you see an article like that, which basically attacks your character, it attacks who you are as a person. I'll say this: where I'm from, snitching ain't cool. So the article you're saying, you're basically calling somebody a snitch.
For sure.
Right. Where I'm from, that ain't flying. but also from a professional standpoint, it's not okay to speak. It's not okay to give up information. And Nolan Smith has no personal gain from giving out the information that they're saying in that article. So, but it hurt. And that's the last thing I'll speak on it, is that it hurt. It was an emotional night when that article came out, just knowing what it did. But again, it went away in 48 hours where it wasn't that big. But at the end of the day, here in Louisville, fans need to hear Nolan Smith ain't no snitch.
He is not at all. And, you know, that's really what we wanted to make sure people knew, because at the end of the day, people should love you. You really do care about everybody. I've never heard a hateful word out. And I will say this, and I am going to take somebody to task here and trying to figure out how to say this, because I'm not really trying to be a jerk about it, but without saying names, you never write in my business. And trust me, I'm not a journalist. I'm a guy blessed enough to have a nice little podcast set up, and I can talk to people I love and have a good time and stuff. I would never put out an article without getting both sides of the story, even if it was for the purpose of the only purpose of that was to get views and clicks, and that's not cool, in my opinion. And I'm not going to ask your opinion on that. That's Jeremy Wyman's opinion. Nolan Smith didn't say it. Shawn didn't say it. Dalton probably said it, but Sam didn't say it at all.
Here we go.
I had to, man. Look, I can't pick on Shawn. He's not even. Shawn, are you still here with us?
Maybe.
Okay, I'm turning his mic all the way off. So the media here, we just talked about the media. They're just as passionate. At the end of the day, they love Louisville just as much. And the TV guys were pretty impartial to you. The radio guys were a little bit more on one, as I would put it. Did you feel like any of them had it out for you? I know you've already said you kind of want to meet with everybody, but do you have any, again, when you write questions down and some of them already get to answer before, it's kind of, you know, you want to stay in the flow, because at the end of the day, that's what you do. But do you have any words for the people who were criticizing you throughout the season, whether it be justifiable or not?
Yeah. No, again, I think just some of it became personal, which is why I don't understand why it became personal. It's only personal when you know somebody, right?
Facts.
So that's the only thing. When it became personal, and there was times where they mentioned my dad's name, like that's when it becomes personal. It's like, my dad has nothing to do with this. And as an assistant coach, you're attacking an assistant coach. But at the end of the day, I would love to sit down and have dinner with those guys so that we can have a relationship. And then, you know, again, like I said before, a lot of that stuff probably stops. But again, I have no ill will towards anybody who said anything about Nolan Smith. Again, when you win 12 games in 2 years, I'm cool. Like, I know there's going to be some flack. I am not sensitive by no means. I've been in this business. I know the business. But that personal thing, when it goes a little too far, it's like, dang, like, why are they attacking me? Like, getting the screenshots of somebody saying something about you over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's like, dang, what did I do? What did I do to offend him? Maybe did I not shake his hand one time? I walk past. I mean, I really think about those things,
Right,
because
right.
I don't want to offend anybody.
Did I date one of his daughters when I was younger and didn't, you know, just no.
Yeah, so
Joke.
that's those are the feelings that I
Sure.
have, because I don't want to offend anybody. I know everybody has a job to do. I just that's it. Those are only really things in my head, just
Gotcha.
when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, and we will try to get something like that facilitated at some time. Lots of, like, I can't keep up. Shawn doing a fantastic job at not talking and doing what he's supposed to be doing. That's why I love him producing my shows, because he's on point. But I can just see on the Facebook live stream, nothing but mad love for you. Want you to stay. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But it's like, man, we want Nolan to never leave. We love Nolan. What a great young man. And the coolest thing for me is to not only see people I grew up with, and people that grew up after me, obviously, but people that grew up with your dad. And they're like, oh, man, Derek would be so proud of him. And just like, it's just constant comments. And, man, that's awesome to see.
I love y'all.
It's because okay. And as always, I don't read negative comments about other radio hosts or stuff like that, because I wouldn't want them to put my name in their mouth. So I'm not going to put theirs in mine. So if y'all put a comment in there, everybody can see it, but that don't mean that we're going to read that out at the end of the day. I was going to ask you at the very beginning if you were enjoying your time here, but I know you better than that. You're ready to get back to work. What are you looking for as far as the next stop is concerned?
I'm just ready to win. I'm hungry. I'm starving to win. I'm starving to coach. I'm starving to teach and help kids win. These past 2 years were hard, bottom line, but I'm ready to win. Wherever that is, wherever my next step is, wherever God plans to take me and my family, it's already been ordained. It's already written. That's where I'm going to be. Whether it's wherever, I just want to win. I want to affect winning. I want to teach these kids how to win on and off the court. And that's my job. That's my daily mission. Ready to get back to that.
Absolutely. And I see a viewer comment just trickling in, tuning in from Edmonton County, Kentucky. That's Wildcat country, y'all. So the fact y'all are tuning in from all the way down there, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate the love and support. Got a couple more questions. These are the ones that Shawn and Sam came up with, but they sent them to me, and I put them at the very end because I knew mine were more important. I'm just kidding. I think this was Sam's question. In practice or during the summer, were you allowed to play pickup ball with the guys? And if so, who was the most difficult to guard?
It's a good question. During practice, I was able to get on the court this year, a good amount. Let's see. I'm still very competitive. At 30, at 35. When I get between those lines, I like to joke with them and say, look, go at me like I'm just another player. Don't take it easy on. You can hit me. Let's compete. Sky Clark was a tough cover. Trey White was a tough cover. Mike James. Just all three of those guys were just physical when they did get downhill and get in the paint, which is when they did that this year, you saw growth in all of their games. But I got to see it firsthand. I was like, man, look, if y'all do that every single game, we're gonna have a chance to win. Just stay consistent with that. But those guys are really good getting downhill using their physical gifts.
Those guys love you too, man. Like I talked to Sky and Mike. One of the benefits of doing this is that you do the media days before the season starts. Mm-hmm. And guys like I've known Mike for a while because I've done 2 or 3 media days with him, and just forming that. But he's a huge wrestling fan. We talk about that. So being able to build relationships. If I didn't do this, there's no way I'd know Mike or Sky and his dad personally. I love Sky's dad. He's a trip. But they always, even yesterday talking with Sky, he's like, man, I love Nolan so much. If there was a path for him to get back here, 1,000% committed instantly, no second about it. So the fact that they love you so much really speaks to the kind of connections that you make with them. And I want to piggyback off of you talked about Reese, and he thinks he's the better player. So who's the better player? Is it Reese Gaines or is it Nolan Blanken Smith?
Right now it's me. Look, Reese, he's kind of retired from basketball, but then every now and then if I poke the right buttons, he'll get on the court and try and compete still. But look, I'm definitely younger than him, in better shape, so he can't check me. He knows that. But I think I motivated him this year a lot to get back on the court. Like, the beautiful thing is when you do retire from this game earlier than expected for whatever reason, we still have a chance to be in the gym and play the game we love. Obviously, we get to coach the game we love, but look, Reese, come on, you still can run, you still can move. Let's keep playing. Let's play until we're in a wheelchair. Let's go.
I would love to see you versus Reese versus Francisco versus Taekwon. Some sort of combination.
Play to 21.
Just play a game of 21. That would be fantastic to watch. You played overseas just a little bit. Can you kind of talk for those that are up and coming that NBA may not be for them? You were blessed enough to be a first rounder, but NBA. Can you kind of explain how that whole process is as far as, because I remember when Farley went overseas, gosh, that first year he played for probably 2 or 3 different teams. The first team didn't pay him after coming to the agreement to be paid. The second one paid him 2 weeks late every week, and then the third one sent him home halfway through the season and did pay him. So it's very erratic, and he did eventually get all of his money from the other teams, like I think 8-9 months later. But that whole process, can you kind of, your experiences overseas, give us a little bit of that insight?
So if you're fortunate enough to go pro and have the chance to go play basketball over there, it's different, and it's going to test your love for the game. You're very far from home. You're most likely going to be alone. You're going to be going through 2 and 3 a day practices. It's a challenge, but there's so many different stories that you're going to hear about over there, whether you get paid on time, not on time. You get to a good situation where they do pay on time. There's going to be something that's just going to frustrate you because it's not home. It's not America. But you are getting to play the game that you love. So for all the kids out there that are trying to play this game forever, or well, not forever, because it's definitely not forever. the life expectancy in this game is very short.
Right.
But if you get to go over there, like the NBA is a tough gig. Everybody's dream is to play in the NBA. One of the craziest things that I still wrap my head around now is in 77 years of the NBA, 75 just passed. There's only been about 4,000, close to 600 NBA players in 75 years. Like, that's crazy. And then for me, it's like, wow, I'm one of those 4,000 something players. Like, that's crazy. So, but if you really want to play this game, you have to, go for your dream, but also understand this game is global now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to do this, you have to dedicate yourself more than ever now. You have to lock yourself in a gym more than ever now. Like overseas, Europe, Africa, China, everywhere. The game is global. So now it used to be like, oh, you're part of the 1% if you make the NBA. No, now it's like 0.000001 if you have a chance. So don't close those doors on the overseas. You can chase the NBA dream all you want, but there might be somewhere over there. If you start over there, maybe you work your way back over here. Or maybe you have a long basketball career over there for 10 to 15 years, make money, take care of your family, and boom, come back and start your life.
Absolutely. And I've got a lot of friends who just played overseas for a couple of years, but shout out to guys like Larry O'Bannon who put in 15.
Mm-hmm.
So's still out there playing.
Yep.
Dante Smith, my guy, every time he tells me he's done, I look up and he's won another summer championship somewhere. Yep. And last but not least, Juan Palacio still playing at extreme. I hope we can get him for the TBT team, this year. That'd be exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, you imagine it's got to be a culture shock. I mean, just going across the pond, whether you're playing or not. I mean, spending time in Croatia and I think Galatasaray. Is that Istanbul? Is that
Istanbul, Turkey?
Turkey. I didn't know if it was in Istanbul, but you're starting to see a lot of the younger coaches take some inspiration from the vastly different playing style over there.
Yeah.
A lot of motion basketball, especially on the offensive end. Is there what it would have kind of been some things that you've taken away from playing over there as it relates to sprinkling in into your coaching style?
Oh, that's a great question. They run great actions over there. Great actions. The ball doesn't stick. You have to move the ball. The way they make extra passes and drive and kick, and it's beautiful basketball over there in Europe. And I think you see the NBA going to more of a European style, which is why there's so many Europeans now in the NBA. Why? Because they know how to play, right? They trying to get away from the ISO basketball now. Mm-hmm. Like the superstars in the NBA, they're still going to ISO, right?
Yeah.
But everybody else, they want to know, can you play? Do you know how to drive and kick and make the right passes without sticking? 0.5 decisions. Overseas, they've been playing that way, right? They're not the most athletic. They're not high-flying dunkers, but they all can shoot,
they
pass,
know their
and dribble.
role.
They know their role.
Once I started seeing Spain being ran in the NBA, I'm like, okay, so we're starting to bring, we're starting to see some concepts come over. Do you think a lot of that? I mean, you got Luka, you've got Giannis, now you've got Wemby. I mean, you've got these European players that are coming over, and there's always been European players that have come over, but now you're looking at faces of the league type players. I mean, it feels like that immersion of not only playing style, but the overall cohesive culture of basketball from a global standpoint. I mean, I feel like it's just going to take off.
Oh, it's going to take off. It's going to take off, which is why you see the NBA trying to do more with the European game.
Right.
They've had talks of taking some NBA teams over there. Well, how far is the flight? How do you do it logistic-wise? Probably be tough, but they want to add Europe to the North American game and combine the two, which will make it a very special, more global game.
Right.
Viewer question here really quick as I'm going, and to answer your question, Zach, one of my buddies, head baseball coach over at Doss, Zach wants
shout out to Zach.
Absolutely great dude. do I read comments? Or normally I read the comments during the show, which is why we normally turn a 30-minute show into an hour and 15 minutes. Today, Shawn's throwing them up on the board for you all to comment with, and I'm gonna answer some of the questions, or we're gonna answer, and by we I mean Nolan, after we get through with all these other questions that we have. But another viewer question I saw pop up on Facebook wants to know: can you rate Louisville's facilities compared to those you've seen throughout the country?
They're good. They're good. If 1 to 10, I'd probably say right now they're 7. 7 can get better, but they're really good facilities, right? If you're at the Power 5 level, they're up there with some of the best. They're up there with some of the best.
The Yum Center is, I mean, it's an NBA arena,
NBA
arena. But you start to see college. I mean, Baylor just got an arena that fits kind of the mold like a Cameron Indoor or a Allen Fieldhouse, where it's very right there. They're on top of you type thing, where it's like the intimacy of there's being so many people in such a small space. Louisville's in a little bit of a different category, sort of with Rupp Arena being that size as well. How different is it, fan experience? Because I mean, if you're going in there as an opposing player into Cameron Indoor or Allen Fieldhouse, and then the Yum Center when Louisville is at the top, I feel like it's a different type of intimate. But I mean, I've always wondered what that dynamic's like with such a big arena.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I think there's one thing that sticks out all those other schools you mentioned. It's their student section, right? So when you look at Louisville, in its big games, obviously the villains, they come down there and they're there. But how do you get them there every single game from campus down to the arena? And are they close enough, right? All those arenas, whether it's Grand Canyon, Duke, their student sections make the environment. They make the college environment special. Now, again, Louisville fans are unique because they're into the game. They're into the game. But there's something about drunk college students being at the game. It just makes it a little bit different. It adds to the environment. They're a little bit loud, a little bit more, hyped up than the typical fan. But when they're closer, it's just better. So at some point,
got the whole hands over in Cameron Indoor,
right? At some point, if that adjustment could be made in the Yum, it could make the experience that much better. But it's still a tough place to play.
That was one of my only critiques I had after it opened up. I was shocked that they didn't put the student section right there behind the not y'all's benches, but like on the opposite side to where they could really affect gameplay. I mean, I do like that they're in the end zone, and I get why they do that, so that you can distract people while they're shooting the free throws and stuff like that.
But wasn't that where they were in Freedom Hall?
Yeah, they were
kind of same area.
Yeah, same setup. I just, when we got the Yum Center, I was hoping for something different. But again, if that's your only critique, then something's been done correctly. A couple more, and then we're gonna go to the regular part of our show. But what were summer pickup? Another viewer question: what were the summer pickup games like in terms of competitive nature? And are you allowed to talk about any former players that showed up for those summer pickup games?
Summer field games were very competitive. I think the one guy that sticks out to me that was always around and is a great ambassador for Louisville is Peyton Siva. He's to me, he's kind of like who I was at Duke here in Louisville. Like he's the mayor, he's the guy. Everybody knows him, the way he interacts with the fans. He's the people's champ here. When you win a national championship in a city, again, you're loved. And he's one of those guys that should be loved because of his personality. But he would come in and make sure our guys were competing. He'll make sure pickup games were right. Obviously, as coaches, we're not allowed to watch those pickup games in the summertime. So I'd get my feedback from Peyton on what guys were doing. Did they compete? Did they play hard? Who'd he like? Who looked good? Who didn't look good? Who needs to compete more? Because he knows what a competitor looks like.
Absolutely. And I don't know if this has been confirmed, so we're just going to breaking news. Sky Clark just hit the portal. Sad day, says the viewers that are going on. I didn't see anything on Sky's Twitter, so I don't know that to be true or not. But I imagine
it's been posted.
It's been posted.
Reputable people.
Okay,
that was about 5 minutes ago.
All right. So we talked a little bit about Sky earlier. Great kid, and I really feel like I've been hard on Sky because I was like, man, this is a 5-star player, and I think me and Nolan's had this conversation before. and not really understanding. And then about halfway through the year, in my mind, now this is just the way Jeremy Wyman thinks. I'm like, what if his basketball IQ is just so much higher than the guys he's passing the ball to, where he's doing everything right, and they may not be doing everything right. And I think, honestly, the last game we saw of Sky here in the tournament, I think that was closer to being the true Sky Clark as to what it was that I had convinced myself in my head prior to the revelation that maybe he was just playing on a whole. Sometimes they say in football, when you're playing out there against college players as opposed to high school players, it's a different speed, a different level. So somebody that has a high basketball IQ like Sky does, maybe that. I mean, am I right to think that the Sky we saw in the last game was more indicative of who he was overall as a player?
Absolutely. I mean, he's a player. He's a player. He's a combo guard, scorer, facilitator, guy that can just go out there and make plays. And just hearing that news, him in the portal, let me just say, he loves Louisville.
He does.
He loves Louisville. I mean, he played with a broken rib for Louisville, for the fans, for his teammates. I mean, he was an absolute warrior here, warrior for us all season long. And just like you say, he loves me. Look, I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. That's my guy. And whatever the future holds for him, he's going to be great.
Isaiah Kelly said in the post that said he will still remain in contact with Louisville while we get I can tell you that from our conversation last night, he's excited to see who the next coach is going to be and who that coach brings in on the staff as well. Next question: who would you consider to be your biggest coaching influence? I think, is this Sam or Shawn's question?
It's got to be Shawn.
Okay, Shawn. Who would you consider to be? I mean, I think that's a no-brainer, right? It's got to be Coach K.
Coach K. Coach K definitely one. I have a lot of mentors. I probably can't name all of them. But,
Sure.
Coach K.
Stupid question, Shawn.
Coach K. Tommy Amaker. Tommy Amaker is definitely one of the guys I talk to very often, just from a mentor standpoint. What he's done at Harvard, which is unique, and he's turned Harvard into a competitor at not just the Ivy League, on all levels every single year, which has also changed the game in the Ivy League at Yale. They're competitive every single year. Johnny Dawkins, I mentioned Johnny Dawkins. Jerry Eves. Jerry Eves and my dad were very close, and we're going down and training with him at North Carolina A&T when I was younger. He's somebody that I've always talked to from a coaching mentorship standpoint.
Gotcha. So Teresa was letting me know on the side that she just got called into work. So, all right, we'll go make the money. Why are you interrupting me?
While he talks on that, I'm going to pose a hypothetical for you. This will probably be my last question, but you get to form your perfect, most hypothetical college bench that you're on with Coach K as the head coach, and you fill one of, let's just say, for the lack of the hypothetical, you get 4 bench spots. You're one of them, and you can fit 3. They could be head coaches from a given time. They could be people that you've interacted with, some that you haven't. But if you had to form a perfect bench with Coach K as the head coach and Nolan Smith as one of the 4 assistants, so you've got to pick 3 of them.
Saucy.
Oh, that's a great question. Let me see. So Coach K, head coach. Jay Wright,
Okay.
associate head.
You're already loved by Louisville fans as we speak.
Jay Wright. Like I was fortunate enough to play for Coach Wright on the USA Select team. So I've been coached by him. He's one of a kind, humble, just checks every box. Just as a coach, obviously we know what he did at Villanova. Special human, special coach. So Coach K and Jay Wright.
Jay Wright got 2 more.
Probably say I'm gonna go with
It's a tough one. It's a tough hypothetical because there's a lot of great options you can go with.
a lot of great options. I'm just gonna go defensive mind. I'm going Tony Bennett.
Okay.
Tony Bennett. You take those.
You've
2
lost
guys,
the Louisville fans. Okay.
You go Tony Bennett's defense.
You gained him, then you lost him.
Defense.
Okay, maybe you did. Maybe you gained him back subliminally.
Do you remember what Tony Bennett did to me at the EYBL, Nolan?
Oh, he took your seat.
He took my seat and then told me, "Move your feet, lose your seat."
Oh,
He did. That was one of
And then he pointed to the scoreboard and said,
he did.
"Oh, too soon, too soon."
Gosh dang it.
Was this pre or post 2018 when that infamous shot went down?
No, this was Nolan's first day on the job at
Oh,
U of
so it
L.
was post 2018.
Yeah.
He had no remorse. All right, Tony Bennett, you got one more.
I got one more spot to fill.
Got one more spot.
Ooh. Give me Tommy Amaker.
Okay.
Tommy Amaker.
Solid. Very solid list. Yeah, that was the first day. So didn't plan it. Nolan didn't know when he was going to be named, assistant. Well, he did, but probably just wasn't. But he just happened to be going. His first assignment was to go to the EYBL in Orlando. Shout out to our guy Keaton down there that took care of us like we were rock stars. And I found out, I saw an article that said he was going to be in Orlando that week. And I was like, Teresa, Nolan is going to be down there scouting guys the same week that we are on vacation down there. We're taking Ashlyn to Disneyland or Disney World, whichever Disney's down there. We're taking her to Disney. I was like, I think I'm going to step out because I'm not the amusement park guy anyway. So it was good for me because I was like, oh, well, I got to go cover this for the website and hang out with my friend for a little bit. Y'all can go ahead and go to one of the parks without me. But it was such a unique opportunity, and I'm glad that we were able to share that. Sure enough, I was drinking some water. I think we were watching
Curtis Williams.
We were watching Curtis, and I got up to throw my water bottle away. Sam, thanks for rejoining us. For those of y'all that don't know, he had to get up so he could move the car so my wife could take my brand new car out and drive to work, which I'm a little salty about. But that was the path of least resistance. I didn't want everybody else to have to get up. She got caught into work. But it was a great time, and I got to throw my water bottle away, and I turn around. And this little bitty dude saw me get up, and he saw I was just all big for no reason and everything. And I went to go. I didn't say nothing to him, didn't confront him. I just went back, stood next to him, looked down at him. He said, lose your feet, move your feet, lose your seat. And I'm like, you little mother lover, you. Like, I already didn't like you to begin with because of what you've done to my teams, but now I've got a vendetta. And yeah, I think that day we watched Curtis, we watched Caleb, we watched, is it RJ Davis? Was that his name? Or KJ Davis?
KJ Davis.
KJ. And then we watched Trenton that day as well.
Yep.
So like that was really my first aha moment in college basketball because I don't really go out and cover a whole bunch of stuff like that. But I saw Juwan Howard, I saw Hubert Davis, I saw the guy that coaches the Smurf turds in Lexington. I saw everybody who is anybody I saw, and it was like, man, these are. And I don't get starstruck a lot. Y'all know that. I've been blessed enough to have enough people in my life that I don't really get starstruck. I mean, if you can hang around Nolan Smith for 5 minutes, you don't get starstruck too much. But yeah, it was a very, very unique situation. And for that to have been his first assignment and me able to be down there, that was really awesome and pretty special for me. Sam?
I remember the question I was talking about.
Okay, fair enough.
It's coming from someone who played in the Duke North Carolina rivalry.
Yep.
Someone who witnessed the Louisville Smurf rivalry from afar. Being an assistant coach in it now for the last 2 years, what are your takeaways and how do you compare the two if they are comparable?
Yeah, they're definitely comparable. And I had these arguments with Reese Gaines the last 2 years. But obviously I was born into this one, so I've always hated Kentucky. I've always not been a fan of them. I wear red, always was red, always. But I think I've always said this to Reese. I said being in the same conference makes it a little bit different, right? Playing one time a year, bragging rights, it's competitive. I love it. But when you have a chance to play twice, sometimes 3 times, being in Durham, they're 8 miles away from each other. You hear it in the grocery store. Same as here. I mean, you're going to hear in the state of Kentucky all over. But there's something about the schools. They're closer. They see each other. They yeah. And that's not me just being biased because I played in it.
Right.
There's something about that being in the same conference. If Louisville and Kentucky were in the same conference, it would get nastier. It would get nastier. Now there is bragging rights for a whole year, right? There is that side of it, right? Play one time around that December, early January time every year. Now you have to wait a whole year. You have to have
To
to
run
hear
it
that
back.
trash talk for
Yeah.
a whole year. There's something to that too. But at the end of the day, it's two big time rivalries that are typically always big time games. The one thing I will say, I don't know, is because obviously they had really good teams both years, but when we went up there, I thought that they were going to be nastier. Like it wasn't enough trash talk for me.
Okay.
When we walked out, that's one thing I would say. Now, again, they probably knew they were going to win or whatever, but it's a rivalry. I thought I was going to hear some trash talk. Boo, oh, you suck. Even as a Duke guy, I thought I was going to at least hear something about me being a Duke guy up there. I didn't hear anything.
You're
So,
wearing Adidas. I don't know, or Nike. I don't know what
Yeah.
you're doing.
right?
I thought I was done with questions. I'm a follow-up question guy.
Sure.
I'm gonna put you on the spot again.
Yep. Talk to
If
me.
you're going to talk about the Duke North Carolina rivalry, and this is something that I wonder from both perspectives as a college basketball junkie, I need to know who were some of the toughest guys to play against across the way, because I know that you played against guys like Tyler Hansborough
Yep.
and company, but I mean,
Yep.
North Carolina has obviously no shortage of really damn good players that you've played against.
Yeah. So that 2009 was obviously their championship team
Yeah.
and most talented team I had played against. So Ty Lawson,
Mhm.
Danny Green, Wayne
Yeah, I was about to say
Ellington.
Wayne.
They were just a really good team. And then obviously Hansborough, what he did in college was amazing. Just a beast, physical, competitive, psycho T. But then outside from that, Reggie Bullock, PJ
Hairston.
Harrison.
Gosh, we're bringing back names, blasting the
Man,
past.
yeah.
Like all these guys were really good college players. Obviously now NBA guys. Kendall Marshall was.
Did you ever play against what's his name? Dexter Strickland,
Yep.
John Henson, and those guys?
Yep. Definitely played against them as well. So our senior year, Harrison Barnes.
That was his freshman
That was his
year.
freshman
Yep,
year.
2011,
Yep.
because he ended up coming back for that second year.
So that was a really good team. So we split with them in the regular season. We beat them in Cameron.
They won the 12 Zeller brothers.
Zeller
too.
was there. They beat us at their spot. Then we saw them a week later in the ACC championship game, and we won. But just both teams had at least 8 or 9 NBA guys on both rosters.
If you had a family game between the Zellers and the
Plumleys.
Plumleys, and that's another thing. You played with what are there?
Two,
9 of them?
3 of them, but 2 of the 3. Well, they have 3 boys and a daughter who's a big time volleyball player. She's tall too.
Oh, well, it's probably the worst kept secret out there.
Yeah, she's very tall too. But yeah, I played with Miles and Mason. Just athletes, freaks. Could go get it, throw the ball.
Hey,
anywhere.
Mason's still showing out.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned Kendall Marshall. He looks like he plays the game so smooth, so effortlessly.
Yeah.
Like, what made him difficult to guard? Because I mean, he straight up got buckets whenever he wanted to, but he did it like it was just.
He never wanted to shoot the ball, man. It looked like Kendall never wanted to shoot the ball. It's just
But when he wanted to, he
I just
just
want to pass.
Yep. I think that was it. Slow to fast. And guarding somebody who has such a great change of pace is difficult. At any pace, most people's pace is like, all right, fast to faster, medium to fast. His was slow to fast. So you're guarding, and then one little movement, boom, he'd be able to go by you with a burst of speed. But then you also never really expected him to go offensively. So when he did make that decision to go, he could get to his spots.
Right.
But half the time he had a real slow, methodical shot fake. Even though he really wasn't shooting it, he sometimes would get you with it. Look, I grew up with Kendall. He was one of my little brothers growing up in the DMV area. But just he was different.
The next question. First off, shout out to our guy Brian Johnson, former Louisville and Mississippi State basketball player, friend of both families.
Brian, what's up, B?
Tuning in, we appreciate you joining us. What is the difference? Keedy Goatley wants to know, what's the difference in your opinion between a good coach and a great coach?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think the difference is, I think I've touched on it a lot when I spoke about Coach K.
Sure.
But the attention to detail, the fire that he puts in his players every single day, the way he motivates them, And are they willing and ready to run through a wall every single game, every single practice, whatever it is? Great coaches have their players ready to do that with very minimal slippage. When you see the teams right now in this tournament, you see how hard they play. You see how they compete on both ends of the floor. You see how if there's a loose ball, there's no hesitation. They're diving on it. I think when you see that, that's what a great coach is doing behind the scenes. That's how they're teaching. That's how they're coaching. That's how they're preparing every single day. And the players show the preparation, right? You know when a team is well prepared with a great coach based off how they play. Right? It's obvious.
A few more, Shawn. We'll ask for the. I know you've starred a couple of them for us to read out. Brian says, "What's up? Hope everybody's having a great day." Yeah, we're having a great day. Anytime we can congregate and fellowship with family, it's a great day. Let's see. Do you think it's really hard for freshmen today to grasp defense?
Yes. yes, and I think that's
very quick question and answer there. Yep.
Yes, it starts at the grassroots level. Summertime basketball is, you hear a lot of former players, OGs in the game, they speak on it, right? It's a real thing. And when we get them, we have a job to do. We have to teach them how to defend. We have to teach them how to compete. We have to teach them footwork on defense. I don't think kids play enough one-on-one. You have to play one-on-one and growing up in order to be a good defender. You have to learn how to stop your man first. That's just the mentality thing, right? All right, if I play a lot of one-on-one growing up, if I want to win, I got to get a stop. Whether it's make it, take it, or you score, whatever. But most old school one-on-one game, we're not playing. We're playing. All right, my turn, your turn. So where you have to play defense, right? So now some people are just so good offensively. Now you never get to play defense. No, you have to work on your defensive game too when you're playing one-on-one in the summertime in a hot, sweaty gym, right? You have to be able to defend. So yes, that was long-winded to answer that, but the bottom line, yes, young kids are coming in needing to learn how to play defense.
Well, plus they just want to score. That's what gets you the spot. That's what gets you all the juice, all the likes. If you can score, that's what gets you the biggest spotlight.
Yep.
Just like a follow-up on that, I was just talking to one of my old coaches back home in the Bahamas about it, like maybe a few weeks ago. When we played, like in the summer or whatever, we practiced maybe 5 times a week, and then we had like 2 games during that week. And he said that's probably one of the biggest differences now, because they play maybe 5 games during the week and maybe practice once or twice. Do you think that kind of led to players the lack of attention to detail? Because now it's just they're playing so much, they're just trying to get their points. They're just trying to they don't have time to practice and focus on defense. They're just working on offense. Do you think that's part of the reason why it's so hard to teach these incoming freshmen about defensive schemes and attention to detail on defense?
I definitely agree with that. It's definitely offensive minded in the summertime, until it comes down to winning a championship on whatever day that is. So one thing for when I was playing AAU, you had to try and win a championship every single Sunday. Every weekend, every Sunday, you were playing for something, right? And I think in doing that, you learned how to compete. You learned how to win. You learned how to play defense. And for us playing for DC Assault, which is a big program in the history of AAU basketball, if we didn't win on Sunday, there were times where our coaches, we weren't going to eat till about at least an hour or 2 hours back up the road. just to mess with us, man. Why y'all didn't win the championship? No, we ain't eating. We're not stopping at McDonald's. Y'all getting Subway, right? We all want McDonald's. Y'all getting Subway. Y'all getting sandwiches. Well, we want McDonald's, coach. Nah, y'all didn't win. So a couple of those now, you're gonna win. You're gonna compete. You're gonna play to win every single weekend.
All right, my bad. I thought Sam was about to follow up again. He's the follow-up man.
Back row, third from the left.
Absolutely. Brian Johnson says, one-on-ones was pivotal in our games. Great coaches can mask some of your weaknesses on defense, but eventually you will be exposed. You couldn't have eaten. Kurt didn't play, said Brian.
Kurt didn't play at all.
Despite the way it ended, and we're going to wrap up the question and answer part of this here in a few. And we're going to get Shawn's got a bunch of questions, and we appreciate everybody tuned in here on Sunday. We appreciate you taking all this time to hang out with us and speak with us. Despite the way it ended, is there anything that you hope the players learned from you that they could take on with them throughout the rest of their lives?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I would like to think I taught them a lot, just as far as how I approached every single day with preparation, a seriousness, no matter what was going on, no matter the losses. Every single day, you have to show up to get better. You got to show up to compete. You have to show up to practice with a seriousness, with a willing to help your teammate. And these were some of the things I would try to help them grasp as my job as assistant coach, and hopefully they take something from me. Hopefully it's some of those things. But at the end of the day, I think all of our players in the last 2 years learned a lot, because you learn more from losing than in winning. Obviously, we all would like to learn from winning, but when you do lose, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about what you could have done to be better in preparation. And this is from a player and coaching standpoint, but especially for the players. What could you do as a player to change the outcome of some of these games? Could you have gone a little bit harder? Could you have defended better? Could you have talked more? What could you have done? So I think as players, when you look in the mirror and you look back at the seasons, what could you have done? That's the question. I think when it came down to it, I would ask these guys to really think about, so that they can get better and grow.
Absolutely. So we're getting to the money questions, because you all have been asking this. Nolan, come back. Nolan, come back. Well, we got a great one here. Chase Latham wants to know, who's going to be the next head coach? We don't know that, buddy. We can't. If we knew that, then we'd have way more people tuning into the stream right now. Again, over 2,000 people now. It's just climbing. We appreciate the love and support. Whether you're here next season or not, what would you say to recruits that were even considering the University of Louisville, their fans, the city? Just how would you pitch that to them?
It'd be a very easy pitch. If you're a competitor, if you are a really good player, if you want to win, you want to be in a fan base that's ready to love you, and you are that good, come on. If you're hesitant, then hey, maybe this ain't the place for you. But really good players don't shy away from a challenge. Really good players know that they're going to come in here and win. Really good players want to turn this fan base into the supporters that they are. The competitors, they want to fight with you. This is Louisville basketball. At the end of the day, like I said at the start of this conversation, this is Louisville basketball. So if you want to see the Yum Center packed, if you want to live in Denny Crum Hall, which is an amazing dorm, if you want to be a part of that and be a part of this great historic program, which still is that, come on. That's it.
There you go. And my last,
coaches too.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
my last question, and then Shawn, we'll go to a few viewer ones. We've didn't really think we were going to be going this long, but as always, whenever we have something good rolling, we're going to continue as long as the guests will allow us to do. My last question, and this is the loaded question everybody's been wanting to know the entire show. If asked, would you be interested in returning? If asked by whoever the next head coach is going to be, would you be interested in continuing your journey as a Louisville Cardinal?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I say absolutely because, A, I'm a fierce competitor, and winning 12 games here does not sit well with me. That's not what I came home to do. So to leave here with 12 wins, nah, that's not going to sit well with me at all. So if I was asked by the next head coach to stay, yeah, it would be at the front of my mind to say yes right away, because I owe it to Louisville. I owe it to the school. I owe it to myself. I owe it to my family that I moved here.
Right.
That I moved here. I just owe it. I know I owe it in my heart and in my gut to see the Yum Center packed. I want to see that. I want to walk out there to a packed Yum Center with a big old smile on my face, knowing, oh man, this is Louisville basketball. This is what it's all about. Knowing we're about to go kick somebody's butt.
Absolutely. So there, y'all heard it. Y'all been asking all show. I'll save that for the end on purpose. We're gonna really quick, Shawn. I want you to go ahead and start putting some of the viewer questions. Put them up one by one. I know you got to go back to the beginning to do that, but let's if we've not already answered them. Obviously, if we have, it is what it is. I'm going to regret doing this instantly, but Higgy wanted to ask you some questions. The notorious snack cakester Higgy wanted to ask you a couple questions. His family, big fans of you in your college days, probably still now. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to bring Higgy on here. Higgy, go ahead and let me get this graphic off here because you're messing up the feng shui. Is that how you? I don't want to say something I shouldn't say. So go ahead, Higgy. Give us a couple of your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Nolan, for taking the time and talking with us. Very much appreciate you more than anything else. One of the questions I had when you were talking about Reese Gaines and everything earlier, like if you had a starting five with you in the starting five, who would be your all-time Louisville greats?
That's a great question.
So Nolan +4 is what you're asking for. Higgy.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going me. Probably Reese. So many guards I want to put in that. But I'm gonna go with Reese. That's my brother, and he might hear this and they'll be mad at me. But look, Reese is a legend, so you can't go wrong with Reese ever. So me, Reese, Daryl Griffith, my dad, and Purvis Ellison.
Solid
list.
By the way, Higgy,
Go
before you say anything else, shout out to the little sis Sydney's watching. She's joining in. I told her she could tap in and we could holler at her, but I think she's closing the store up, and you know how busy she is. Go ahead, Higgy. Ask your next question there, buddy.
I was going to ask too, Nolan, like about the rivalries we had in the past with different teams like Cincinnati, West Virginia, and everything like that. What are some 3 teams that you were thinking of if you were ever head coach? Who are 3 teams you would like to bring back rivalries against for the Cardinals?
Not a bad question.
Cincinnati, Xavier. One of the old Big East teams, probably Georgetown. Georgetown or Syracuse.
Georgetown, he says. Very, very. To me, growing up, the biggest rivals for U of L were Memphis State, which we don't play anymore. Cincinnati.
I forgot Memphis. I forgot Memphis.
And then the NCAA. Absolutely.
NCAA. That's a rivalry.
No, in Georgetown, I love that because from a historical standpoint, you're talking about back when Alonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing both played there together. They were the hot team. They were the team that everybody, whether you were from Louisville or Kentucky or wherever you were from, I had a Georgetown jersey that I rocked during the summer to play pickup ball in. That's just who you cheered for. So, all right, Higgy, were those your questions?
I was gonna say the one last one I had was.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask him in regards to like other Louisville greats. Who would you have had as a teammate? Like, who would you have wanted as your teammate or running mate for a championship more than anything?
Peyton and Russ. Can I say two?
Yep.
Yeah.
Peyton and Russ. Their energy, their fight, their competitiveness. They were 2 dogs. I mean, those are 2 guys that I like to recruit. The type of guys I like to recruit, but they were fierce. They got after it. They could both score. They played well together. They got each other going. Just 2 of the best right there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Higgy. We'll put you back in the
shout out to Megan for the questions.
Yeah, shout out to Megan for all the questions. Higgy's better 2/3. I'm just messing with you, Higgy. So, all right, Shawn, ready for a couple of viewer questions. The first one from Quentin, which I guess is they just want to know, does the money change coaches?
That's a great question. Yes. Money definitely changes coaches because money changes everyone. They say money is the root of all evil. So, yes, to answer your question, it absolutely does. The great coaches, no, it doesn't change the great coaches. The good coaches, a little bit. The bad coaches, a lot of bit. I think there's levels to it. But money changes everything. But if you have great values, great morals, great standards for your team, and you're goal driven, then no, it doesn't change you. Everything stays the same. You're what you do every single day as far as practice, the way you walk around the city that you're in as a coach, the way you talk to people, the way you handle your day-to-day life, nothing changes.
Well, I've asked you this already, and I know the answers, but the fans want to know. Nolan, are you going to play for the TBT team in the Ville this summer? Now, the answer you gave me was very understandable, but go ahead and let them know the answer to that and why.
No, not this year, but I would love to, because I've always wanted to put that Louisville jersey on and put that 43 on my back and play in front of the fans. So that would be very exciting, whether it's one game or two games, whatever. Once I play one, I'm going to play all.
For sure.
But that was a thought of mine to play in the TBT, even as a coach, because also could be a really great nod to recruiting. Like, hey, man, look at your coach still out there playing.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool thing when your coach can still boogie a little bit.
Absolutely. Next viewer question, Shawn. What is the one-on-one record between you and Reese?
We only played once. I got the win. That was the same day. I think that video, a while back, got put out of him storming out the gym, kicking the door.
Wait, so he makes it seem like y'all played more than once and that he just dominates. So you're saying there was only one official one-on-one game and you were the victor?
Yes, there's only one.
All right, Reese, you heard it. Nolan's he's standing on business here on the podcast for sure. Shawn, you got another one? Let's see. Oh, interesting question from Ernie. What was it like to recruit at Louisville versus recruiting at Duke? I guess he's wanting to know the differences, or just like how it was between, each situation. Great question, Ernie.
Yeah, great question. I think really when you look at the two schools, you're going to recruit a different type of kid, probably from a different background, demographic. Sure. But they're both schools in the ACC. They're both high-level schools. 9 times out of 10, whoever a Duke offer is probably going to offer a kid that's going to Louisville, right? So you're still going after the same high-level basketball player. Duke, Louisville, Carolina, right? Typically, look on the boards, you see who's offered who. If Louisville's offered, you might see a Duke, you might see a Carolina, you might see a Kansas, you might see a Kentucky, right? It's in that level of who's who has offered a certain kid.
Absolutely. Guy widely known amongst the fan base is Uncle Larry says, and he's been around for a long, long time. He says, Nolan, your dad was the ultimate example of the pride and passion of Louisville basketball. He's really no question, just a comment. One of our more outspoken, and one of our, you talk about the fans, and if this was like an NCAA tournament game, they go to the stands, they're like, here's Duke's most famous, or what about the little old lady? Was it from St. Mary's or
Loyola?
Loyola, yeah.
Sister Jean.
Yeah, he's our Sister Jean. That's the best way I could put it. Except for I think Sister Jean dresses nicer. When it comes to people also want to know. And this is a bunch of people. When it comes to recruiting, does the shoe company argument that we always hear the myth of it, is that really as big of a deal as people make it seem to be?
I'd say a little bit.
Okay.
Right now, EYBL has taken over the grassroots level.
Right.
They do a heck of a job recruiting nowadays at that level to get the best players on the EYBL circuit. You might sprinkle in a couple top players into the Adidas and Under Armour, but most of the kids are playing on the Nike circuit, which means they're going to try and push those kids to Nike schools.
Absolutely.
That's how it goes. That's how this business has gone for a long time, and that's never going to change. But then the Adidas is still a hell of a brand that kids, when they look at, they like wearing Adidas. They won't run from it like some other brands, but Nike definitely takes the cake when it comes to where do kids want to go play for and what do they want to wear.
Does NIL change that? Does it, or at least offset that a little bit to where a lot of it's how can I maximize my brand? Now you have NIL to where you can sign with Nike and still go play at an Adidas school and vice versa. It feels like if the shoe brands had a hold on it it seems like it's almost loosening a little bit.
100%. And at the end of the day, now with NIL, go buy all the Nikes or Jordans or Balenciagas that you want. I mean, these kids now, they're getting so much money. It's high fashion that they're wearing. So all you got to do is wear whatever brand you're wearing for 2 hours during the game and go put on whatever you want off the court. Or if you do sign an NIL deal, boom, you have your deal, you wear it off the court. It's a great and crazy thing in college basketball now today.
Do recruits, Matthew from YouTube, did recruits, in your opinion, still view Louisville as an elite program?
I believe they do. They know it. They see it. Again, when you come into the arena and you look around, you can't help but know it's an elite program. But yes, I know kids still think about it and know it's a high level program.
Another viewer question, it doesn't say who it's from, but they want to know, do you still wear a purse? Nobody asked that. I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, is Brandon Huntley in the chat?
That is no. I think it's just Jeremy Wyman being in the chat.
Yeah.
That guy's just.
It's a man bag. It's a man bag.
Man bag. Okay, I don't.
You got the fanny pack going?
I do the fanny pack.
No,
I
Nolan.
do have the fanny pack. I did that more last summer. Hey, look, I'm sure a lot of the men in this chat and
Hey, I'll rock the fanny pack.
I became one of those guys where things fell in my pocket a lot, my wallet, phone, keys. So I got tired of it. So 3 years ago, I started with a fanny pack. I'm gonna put everything in here. It was a nice fanny pack.
Got to be the one that goes diagonal across.
Yeah,
though.
I carried it across
It
the
can't be
back.
the one. It's like zipping away.
Yeah, zipping out the front, like little kangaroo pouch. But,
This conversation went sideways, but I'll allow it.
We call it a satchel.
The fanny pack kid over
hey,
here.
this is good content. Hey, somebody out there is gonna go get a fanny pack or a man
Trendsetters.
bag, right? I'm telling you, get you a good man bag. Now your wife, your girlfriend won't get mad at you for always losing your phone, your keys, right? And tell them Nolan Smith does it too.
Listen, after the show is over with, I'm going to show you what I carry around, and you're going
Here
to
we
give me
go.
so much crap that I'm just the next time you're on the show, you're going to just unload on me.
We
But
need to bring back briefcases. That's the next trend we're gonna bring back. Holding the briefcase like businessman, walking right down the street with briefcases. Bring it back. You heard it here.
see,
Nolan Smith's gonna help me.
look, see, Miles
Here we
said
go.
nothing wrong with a man purse, Jeremy. Let Nolan live his life, especially if he stays here. I don't hate it. And our guy Wes Keys, he was supposed to be back. I was going to bring him on to ask a question, but he hopped out. He said, on the subject, what is the biggest flex purchase you've ever made?
Probably nothing. I don't spend. I don't like to flex. I'm actually pretty cheap of a guy, if you ask me. My sister, my wife, and family tell you I'm cheap.
Frugal. Frugal. We don't use the C word
Yeah,
here.
very,
Frugal.
very frugal.
Because
There
I'm
you go.
frugal as well, and I hate it when people call me cheap. Because I'm like, well, that's why I can go on 4 or 5 trips in a year, and you're only going on 1 because I go to less expensive places, and y'all want to go to the Caribbean and ball out every other week. So
Yeah.
don't look at me. Sam's from the Caribbean. Listen, calm down. Stick with us, Nolan, says Noah Wilson. Look, he wants to. So hopefully that is on the table. My little brother Joey, can you tune back? I know you wanted to ask Nolan a question. Joey's he's waiting for his flight back home from Phoenix. Went out to visit my uncle and my cousins there. So if you want to hop on real quick and ask him a question, that's fine. Shawn, did you have anything else that was appropriate?
There was a question from Mr. Kelly here that I'll put
Okay, well,
on the screen. I
yeah.
think it's an interesting.
Well, that's what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know why you're telling me it and not just clicking on it. Just click.
There we go.
Listen, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Shawn is probably a little gun shy because earlier before the show, we were having a pre-production meeting and he accidentally went live as we're sitting here. Some of us are using expletives. Some of us are saying things they probably shouldn't say. And
on this blessed Sunday morning.
honestly, if you think of Shawn, you
I
think
was trying
quick
to preach
trigger,
the
right?
Gospel of Jesus Christ, man. I don't know what y'all were doing.
Dalton, when you think of Shawn, you think quick trigger, right? Quick release.
No, it's still in the holster. What are you talking about?
Calm down. Calm down. Favorite restaurant in the Ville wants to know from Ricky.
Favorite restaurant here in the Ville? Drake's. Love Drake's for a quick
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
guaranteed good food.
Variety is just off the
Variety.
charts.
I typically just get the seared grilled chicken.
Fire.
I do pretty much eat pretty healthy all the time. So the grilled chicken and sweet potato fries is always hitting. They always do their chicken right. Valari's Italian spot. Love
Have you
it.
been to Four Pegs before?
I have not.
Got to take you there.
Here
Next
comes
time.
here comes a plug.
Listen,
Yeah.
There you go.
for the best food in Louisville, check out our guy Chris out at Four Pegs at 1053 Goss Avenue. He's a big Louisville fan, and
Yep.
he's the sponsor of the show. So
There we go.
we got to get you out there.
I got to get in there. My favorite spot though in Louisville is and always has been the Fishery.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a
Oh,
place-
St. Matthews.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a place that my grandpa used to take me to.
Fire, bro.
Is that over in the Paddock shops or
No,
what
it's
used to be called
St.
Paddock?
Matthews, kind of close to downtown St. Matt's, Trinity High School.
Oh, okay.
All that over there.
I know
Yep.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Little low key spot.
And now people are putting their favorite ones in here, so it is what it is. Indies, Kings,
There we go.
of course, Higgy's gonna. We didn't ask you for your food expertise there.
There's a whole list.
Cashmere says, "Yeah, that was funny when y'all were on without knowing." No, it wasn't. It could have been the end of our careers, Cashmere. It wasn't funny. Shawn is banned. That's why he's not on camera today. He is banned from forever being seen on the show ever
Into
again.
careers might be a little over exaggeratory.
No, for me it would have, because I'll be honest with you, if I had to have any I'm tired, man. My health is taking a lot out of me. The state of affair of the Louisville basketball program's taking out a lot of. It would have been the end of my career, because I would have just been like, "Hey y'all, I messed up, deuces," and we got to hang out a lot more, because I wouldn't have done this anymore. Hashtag Shawngate 2024. Taco Luchador, Chex Cafe, Drake's in Lexington. A lot of great things. We got some more questions. We got some more topics we were going to go over, such as this week in Cardinal athletics. But we want to let Nolan go ahead and get out of here, so we'll go ahead and close up shop here. I will ask one more question from everybody. Nolan, you don't have to answer it, because I don't want you to compromise anything. Sam, we'll go with you first. You are Josh Hurd. I'm giving you the checkbook. You can't get. You obviously know who you can't get.
I'm giving you the check.
I'm giving you the checkbook. Who's the three people in order? No order. Who's the three people you hope to be the next head basketball coach at the University of Louisville?
I don't need three. If I get the checkbook, that's only going to be one person.
Okay,
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson. Okay, well, I know he's interested in college coaching. Spoke with him a couple of months ago, and he's about a month ago, and he said he was ready to get back in the college game. So we'll see. Dalton?
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked.
Where there's a will, there's a what?
We got Coach Carter,
I hate him so
Brad
much.
Stevens, and John Wooden. My top three.
John Wooden.
I was about to hit your theme music.
No, in all realistic. It depends on realistic, like you could get the coach, or
Yeah.
realistic as in we won't consider the coach.
I want you to tell me the three people. If I held a gun to your shoulder blade and said,
Thank you.
who are the, well, yeah, I didn't want to hold it to your head. I don't want to mess
I
up
know that's what. Thank you.
your pretty little
Not
face
been
there.
below.
Who's the three right now you would go at? Who would be your final three?
In no order, I'd go Will Wade. I would go Jerome Tang. And after that, sort of all over the place. I would take a run at Shaka. I don't think he would leave his home area, but I would be doing my pocketbook a disservice if I didn't walk into Shaka with my newly found briefcase that me and Nolan are bringing back, and I open it up and there's one sheet of paper. It's a blank check. I say, "Hey man, fill this out and come with me," and that would be my go-to. But not a shameless briefcase plug, I promise.
Listen, full of money. It is what it is.
No, it's just a check.
Just a check.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's just a check. Shawn, I'm gonna let you speak, even though you almost messed up. You almost up the whole game for everybody earlier. Who's your three? I'll give my three, and if Nolan wants to speak on it, cool. If he wants to not, because of potential opportunities, I respect that as well. But you go ahead and give me your three.
Well, he mentioned one of them in Will Wade, even though I've been saying I'm afraid of it only because of the
Sure.
show cause.
We can get around it.
Yeah.
But after that, there's really. I'm trying to think of guys like Shaka would be another one, obviously, because he's a good coach. He wins quite a bit. I wish you could go get Tommy Lloyd.
Did they win today, by the way? We've been doing the show so long. I think 8 tournament games are over with by now.
Marquette did advance to the Sweet 16. Tommy Lloyd, for reference, does now have a $6 million buyout. I don't think that would be
money's no object here.
But yeah,
not when we're spending it, buddy.
Well, no. We're balling out. I would say for me, I like Shaka Smart, but I'm going to go a little bit more who I think the final 3 are going to be, and I'm going to go Jerome Tang. I'm going to hopefully go for Will Wade, and I think a name that has to, and here's why it has to pop out.
Don't do it.
I'm going to. I have to do it.
He's going to do it.
Because a lot of people, the issue with the thing that will make this a little bit easier for a portion of the fan base is getting somebody in here that knows the area. It's one less roadblock for them to overcome, and it's Richard Pitino Jr. I know his
he did it.
I know his resume isn't exactly sparkling, but just the being around him. So again, being around him, I hate y'all so much because he was there when I was there, babysitting DC and Earl. Great basketball mind, great dude, great young talent. He went from FIU to he did well there, advanced to Minnesota. Got fired there, and now at New Mexico, and the way he's been able to just his tournament run would be a plus for me. Somebody said anybody as long as it's not Mick. So would that make Little Rick the pick instead of Mick's the pick? I don't know. I'm sorry. He's going to change it now. If Will Wade had a Nolan Smith with him doing the recruiting, we are straight
elite.
fire.
I was just about to say that.
I don't disagree with that.
Why worry about the show calls if you have Nolan Smith?
Listen, make sure the camera is not only zoomed in Nolan, but zoomed in on Nolan not saying a word right now because his smile.
There's
going
to be people just looking at his facial expressions starting to turn into crime investigators, like trying to get okay.
As we mentioned names,
what are his ticks? Is his eye squinting? Is he looking away, or his hands? Are they nervous? Or
they're gonna have body language.
I have a good poker face.
All right, and I think we got through. Scott Drew didn't say no.
He did.
He did. I don't know.
He said it multiple times. He didn't just say no. He said it multiple times.
Listen, without these fine sponsors, we wouldn't be able to put the show on every week, and we appreciate y'all giving us almost 2 hours of your time today. Certainly wasn't the intention. Thank you, Nolan, for doing that for us. A lot of people wanted to hear you. As it's obvious, most shows the numbers start out strong and then taper off. We're still skyrocketing. Like it's so stupid. In a great way though. Bearno's on Market. Make sure you all, our guy George out there, let him know Cardinal Sports Zone sent you. He is our sponsor on a trial run right now. Enough people go in and say they've heard about us. I heard about them from us, and we can sign a longer contract with them. But you don't have to go there just for U of L stuff. You can go there after concerts, before concerts. The kids are whispering on the side over here. Wrestling events, whatever you got, make sure that you go to Bearno's on Market. Great food, great service, and George is a great owner. Fitness Market, our friends Chris and Sarah out there. I'm going to open up my new home gym here in about a month. I'm going to get me a new treadmill from Fitness Market. They give you great deals, especially if you sit here and promote them every week. They give you the best of deals on everything. No, we don't know who the new head coach is going to be. Nolan's pupils got larger at the mention of Wade. Well, that's because that would be very exciting on a lot of levels for us. Again, 4 Pegs and Chris, 1053 Gossa Avenue. Make sure you go out there. Tell them we sent you. I've tried, we used to go to Griff's, which was on campus at U of L after our shows on Saturday on 93.9, and you could try 18 different things, and they would all just be fire. 4 Pegs is the same way. I've not tried anything there that I do not like. Collision Course Crew Tailgaters, it's almost time. They are going to be there for the spring game on April the 19th. Is that when it is, Shawn? April 19th, spring game. It's behind the El Nepal, former Cardinal Hall of Fame Cafe, which was a great restaurant. I have no idea why it ever closed. Shout out to our guys, Bill, Garrett, Rhino, Craig, and the crew, and the one Kentucky fan that comes dressed in Louisville. We appreciate your dedication to our cause, and it's great food. Nolan, this next sponsor is one I think that's close to your heart. It's Cherry Pickin'. It's a hoops themed cold pressed juice and smoothie bar inspiring you to take what's good. It is conveniently located at 828 East Main Street behind the local seltzery. Tell them CSZ sent you for 15% off your order. and make sure you say hi. Like Nolan said, they're all about family. It's a family place. You'll see Sydney in there almost every day, probably every day. I say almost every day. I don't know
Most
her
days.
schedule, but most days. And they got great stuff there too. Teresa, Teresa's basic Betty. She's Starbucks and cherry picking all day, every day. Shoot 360. It's a premier state-of-the-art basketball training facility with highly skilled trainers. Peyton Sieve is one of the owners there and trainers. Call 515-6556. Sign up for the women's clinic coming up on, I was about to say coming up yesterday. Don't sign up for that clinic. I didn't update the shot sheet. Hope y'all had a great time at the women's clinic yesterday. But if you go to shoot360.com, you can pre-register for a free workout no matter what. My baby cousin Carrie Ann's going to come up here and sign up for Shoot 360. Shout out to her and my cousin Jonathan, which they absolutely got a kick out of meeting you after the game. Jonathan is a basketball historian. And when I was like, do you want to meet Nolan Smith? He's like, Nolan Smith, I can meet him? Like, that really meant a lot to him. I was like, yeah, that's my guy. You don't want to meet him? He's like, yeah, I want to meet him. But so I can introduce him to Carrie Ann. Carrie Ann's a walking double-double, man. And she just turned 16. She's already got some good interest from some great programs around. Last but not least, Mossy Oak. They are the sponsor of the text line. If you're in the market to buy or sell farms, land, recreational or residential areas in the state of Kentucky, let Paul or one of his team of professionals at Mossy Oak and Hart Realty help you with your buying and selling needs. Call Paul at 270-537-4422 or email him at pthomas@mossyoakproperties.com. Mossy Oak, we know land. Listen, we appreciate Nolan. We appreciate your time. Does Nolan have a connection to Will Wade? We're not going to answer that. But Corey says blink once for yes or twice for no. That's funny. We want to make sure that you all are supporting our photographers at cardinalsportzone.com. The place it all began. Go to the photo galleries at the top of the page. Again, shout out to all of our fine sponsors. We just mentioned them. Sponsorship opportunities. Is that here on the graphic still? Yes, for sponsorship opportunities, right below where it says Sam Bazin, you can find out how you sign up to sponsor the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast. We're on all the social medias. Those are underneath Sam as well. We're on Roku now. If you go to the kysports.co Roku channel for $4.99 a month, you can access all of the great content. We will be sending them this interview later on tonight for them to put on. Forgot to last week. That's on me, not on Shawn this time. But as far as a lot of people don't like to watch it. They just like to listen while they're running, working out, or whatever. You can find us on over 135 podcast avenues: Apple, iTunes, Buzzsprout, Spotify, TuneIn, Google, Amazon, iHeart, and more. Hit subscribe now, or like, or hit the whatever it is, plus, heart, stalk like Shawn. It doesn't matter. Speaking of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast, if you've not got to listen to all the prior episodes of the podcast, go back and check them all out now. It's cardinalsportszone.com, the place it all began. Hit the podcast drop-down menu, CSZ Podcast. Shout out to everybody who's out there sharing the podcast and the streaming show. We appreciate you. And even though he said he was going to try to come through and holler at us, he didn't. Shout out to my guys, Marcus Maben and Stephen Rummage, doing the Lord's work from 10 to noon, Monday through Friday on ESPN 93.9 The Ville. You can find Shawn on social media, on Twitter. He is at Elville Shawn. Sam is at Baseboy124. And Nolan is the incomparable at N.Smitty. Y'all know how to find me. You're on the show here with me, so it is what it is. Oh, and Dalton is at dpence_, and he is entering the chat again right now. Want to give a quick shout out to Dan Furman in the 502 Circle. We will be rebooting the Louisville live streams in the upcoming weeks. All right, Dalton's flexing behind me. The first one is tentatively scheduled for this Tuesday at 7 p.m. I don't know what he's doing. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know. You get where I was come from, you get punched looking over people's shoulder. I'm just kidding. But yeah, we'll have the information about the Louisville live stream. Stay tuned to our social media. Subscribe to us on YouTube or Facebook to be alerted anytime we go live, even though we prefer YouTube. Or you can just subscribe to my tweets on Twitter to keep up. But I tweet a lot, so do that at your own risk. And also tune in for Live with 55 with any updates throughout the week. We will have a jam-packed show this Tuesday at 7. My guy Wes Keys and the notorious HIG will be in the building. Make sure you stay subscribed. Couple of so we do, Nolan, what we do to wrap up the show, we do last words, and I'm what to get your last words last. My last words, we're going to give a shout out to our guy Corey Aldis. Not going to say why, but he was going through some stuff. He's the videographer for the Louisville men's basketball team. Great dude. Has been a good friend of mine for a couple of years. Praying for you. Best, I know that everything's fine now, but let's just hope prayers that things continue like that. Again, the Louisville live stream Tuesday at 7 p.m. Open practice for football Friday at 4 p.m. at LNN or the practice fields. They switched that up. Stay tuned to social media to find out the location. Spring football, April 19th. Sam, final words for this nearly 2 hour longest episode in history of the Cardinal Sports Zone streaming podcast.
Just want to give a quick shout out to Louisville women's basketball. I know their season kind of ended prematurely, 24-10, but it was kind of a different year. We had to rely on a lot of transfers this year. But shout out to Coach Walls, Coach JP, Coach Norman, and the rest of the coaching staff. They did a really good job of getting those young ladies together. Like Marissa Russell said and Olivia Cochran, they'll be back next year, and Marissa guaranteed that they'll go further next year. So can't wait to see what those young ladies get working out there.
Dalton?
Good, nothing to say, man. Just shout out to Nolan for joining. Appreciate the perspective. Appreciate you hopping on the spaces this past week, man, and just kind of clearing the air and just speaking your mind. A lot of people wouldn't do that, and I respect the vulnerability to open up about it in a 2-year period that had seemingly a lot more lows than highs. So I appreciate you being humble and speaking to the vulnerability side of things.
Appreciate it.
Shawn?
I just want to say Louisville is going to be fine. They're going to be back soon. Just let the process play out and support whoever it is. Because in the end, support the program.
I thought he was going to say relax.
I did too. I thought he was going to bite your style.
No.
All right, Nolan, you're up. You are the featured speaker, the featured guest. You got the spotlight. What do you got? What you got?
I think that's a perfect segue. I'll just say, look, trust Josh Hurd. The next coach that comes in here is going to win. And I just thank you all for your time this afternoon. Getting to speak to the fan base that I love and have loved pretty much my whole life, even though I didn't get to play here. So I've enjoyed this time. Hope everybody's gotten to know a little bit about me. Probably for the first time, right, Jerem?
Absolutely.
Just coming on here and just talking and chopping it up, talking basketball, talking life, and seeing obviously what we went through the last 2 years. But like what was just said, better days are ahead for Louisville basketball. Louisville basketball is still Louisville basketball, and it will be.
Well, I think that's the perfect ending. Yeah, this is awesome. JB, if you're just joining us, go back. Thank you so much. Corey Massey said, great show, CSZ. Nolan, nothing but love. Keep Nolan in the Ville. Cardinal. It's just comment after comment, all-time high viewers right now. And again, we do a lot more podcast number. I'm very excited to see what our podcast numbers are going to be, Nolan, because this is literally probably about 4 times the amount of viewers we normally get. And I knew it would be because, when you team up me and Nolan and Dalton and Sam and Shawn not hitting live prematurely, which really explains a lot of his dating issues growing up. It's always going to be a great show, and we appreciate it.
He's pretty much grown now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Look, we appreciate you guys. Higgy, you want to say bye? Okay, that's all. You don't get to say nothing else. All right. Again, we hope y'all enjoy this week. For myself, Nolan, Sam, Dalton, and Chugi Shawn, thanks again for the support. We love you all. And until next time, this has been the Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast.